Welcome to the Purpose Driven Mom Show, episode 446. I am sharing with you yet another sneak peek into the Purpose Driven Mom Summit. And if you've heard these past episodes, don't fear because we have over 25 sessions that you'll be able to tune into on April the 7th. So if you hear these sneak peeks and you're like, I love these types of conversation, I'm ready, you're going to want to make sure you are ready to get your ticket, which comes out in just a few weeks. Today, I'm talking with Casey Von Stein, and we're talking all about organizing your photos, getting your phone under control, and the digital organization you need as a busy mom. I had so many questions. If you know my story, I've been culling my photos all of 2024. I did what she calls, I didn't know she had a name for it, the daily delete, which is where you go in and like search by the date. And it was the first year ever I've stuck with anything on my photos, and it was so much fun. So she actually helped coach me a little bit on what we can amplify in my routine and how you can get started without being overwhelmed. You can check out show notes and a little bit of a sneak peek to get on the summit waitlist over at purposedrivenmom.com/podcast 446. All right, welcome back to the Purpose Driven Mom Summit. I am here with Miss Freddie, and we're talking today about conquering your camera roll. We were just chatting before we got on about how I personally had this goal last year to get started. And if you've been following me, you've kind of seen how I do it. And I'm so excited to like amplify that routine for myself. And if you're a mom out there who's staring at the 9 million photos taking up your storage on your phone, lean in because this is going to help you today. So thank you so much for joining us this year at the summit.
Thank you for having me.
Can you tell us a little bit about yourself? Give us kind of a clip notes about you and your family.
Yes, my name is Casey. I live in Golden, Colorado, and I live here with my husband and my two kids. I've got a 12-year-old boy and a 10-year-old girl right now. So, yeah, we're in it. Middle
Yeah,
school just started and elementary school is a lot.
I was gonna say fun ages. My daughter just turned 9. My oldest is 18, and I remember that like middle that 12 for a boy.
Middle school.
12 to
Yeah.
14, I was like, oh man. But high school got better, so there's hope.
Okay, good. That's good to
Yes,
know.
yes. I will say fifth through like eighth grade was really, or even seventh, where it was really hard. And then when high school started in the end of eighth, it was like he's a really dope kid, and I'm like, all right, cool. There was
Okay.
for you. There is, and I feel like I heard though, like it changed. It's different for girls too. So when we get to girls for high school, it's harder. So that's really it's
I
awesome.
feel like it's already fourth grade. I feel like it's
Okay,
already
yeah.
hard.
When we're done, we can chat because I'm like, I don't
Yeah.
know that many moms who like I have a third grader. Like I was like, I need more mom friends that are like fourth and fifth grade girl moms. So like, because I was like, I need some wisdom. All of my friends are either like my age or their kids are older and they're like so far removed from this stage of it that they don't remember. And I'm like, I need help. This is really hard. So yes,
Yeah.
yeah, we'll parent chat. All right, tell us, how did you get into doing what you do, helping moms with photo organization?
So I was a professional photographer first, taking pictures of weddings, kids, dogs, all the things. And I realized in that work that people actually didn't need as much help taking the photos as they did using the photos, making sure they were safely backed up. And so I started teaching classes and sharing blog content to teach people what to do with their photos and how to store them. And it was immediately evident, oh, this is what people want from me. And this is my skill. And so in 2019, I retired from photography and I just do organizing full time now.
Yeah, I love that. And I think it is so needed. Why do you think, especially like for us moms, this is such a hot topic for us?
Um, because the numbers just keep getting bigger, right, on our phone. And we just feel this guilt of, oh, I should be doing something with this. My kids can't see these photos on my phone. It doesn't look like what it did when I was little. And we just feel this constant like pressure of I should be doing something with my photos or I'm failing because this number is messy and big. And that's not true. We'll get into that.
Yeah. So, what do you think are the challenges? Because you mentioned like not doing anything with them. And I'll tell you, oh my gosh, we don't have any pictures printed in my home. Like, I get their school pictures and then they sit there. Like, I send them to my mom and then they sit there, right? And I take the pictures on my phone and then they sit there. So, I know that one of the
Yes.
challenges is physically like doing something with the pictures you take. Do you notice any other patterns or struggles with the moms you work with?
Yes, I mean, lives are just so busy. There's so many things. And so since tech has changed so much for, I mean, at least my age range, we've seen it all. We've seen physical prints, we've seen memory cards, we've seen CDs, we've seen flash drives, we've seen Picasa, we've seen all these different things, Flickr. And so how can I, as a mom right now, jump in and be like, I'm ready to make a book when I feel like I got all this baggage and everything's constantly changing and I don't, therefore cannot feel confident in my steps to take right now?
So let's talk about those steps because I think that's what it is. It feels like such an overwhelming thing, right? I open up my phone and I have no storage, or like I get the notification like you don't have any
Yeah.
storage. Or I'm like just taking these pictures, I'm never looking at them. What would you recommend to that mom who's just feeling really overwhelmed with all of it? And it is a need now, right? Because it's like I need the
Mhm.
storage on my phone and I just don't even know how to get started. How can we help her get started?
My first, like, you just baby step is we got to stop that fight with cloud storage. So I grew up in a time where there was no cloud storage. So I naturally am going to resist that payment in my life, right? Like that fee. I'm like, I don't have to pay for that. I should just transfer these to my computer like I used to do. But that's not what cloud storage is anymore. Now, cloud storage is basically a basic one of our payments we have to build into our budget every month because what the cloud is a place to hold it all and give us the benefits of the technology that's going to help us. So because I've put everything in the cloud, and paid for however much I need to hold it instead of resisted those messages. Now I can search for my son. I can search for a video. I can search by a place. I can search by the dog. I can search by all kinds of different things and find these photos at my fingertips. Whereas in the past, we offloaded. We treated them like a memory card. We offloaded to the computer and then we had to go to the computer to do the work. We don't live in that day and age anymore. Now we need to get everything into the cloud so that we have all the conveniences that it offers us.
As you say that, my brain was like, oh, right. I should be backing things up or putting place. Like I'm not even I'm gonna tell you right now, I don't even look at my cloud. Like I don't even add. Like I look at the phone photos and I know that I have cloud storage. I know I paid for it, right? Like I know it's there, but as you're saying it, I'm like, wait, I don't even ever log. Like I don't even
It's the
ever think.
same. It's the
Yeah.
same. So your camera roll, if you're on an iPhone and you're paying for iCloud, your camera roll is iCloud. And so if you have 6,000 hypothetically on your phone, that is your iCloud. But what if you turn that into 40,000 and it was your whole life of photos and then you could just search by the kid and see all the way back to when they were born, right? It is a mindset shift of I'm using iCloud or my camera roll to hold my whole photo life versus in the past where we used to just like file them away on the computer. Now we have it all on our fingertips and our phone. So yeah, I use the term cloud, and usually I'm talking about iCloud on my iPhone, but cloud could be bigger. It could be Google Photos for an Android user. It could be Amazon Photos, right? So everyone picks their cloud service that they want to pay for, but then you got to go in all the way with it. Pay for the amount you need to hold everything.
Yeah. I'm
One
looking at
mindset
that.
shift. Yes, one mindset shift I share to help with that, right? Oh, this lady, of course, she can just tell us to put all our stuff in the cloud, whatever, good for her. But we used to pay $20 for a roll of film and developing it, and that was for 24 photos. And I used my babysitting money to pay for it, right? Like I don't remember complaining about that fee to develop my photos. It's $10 a month in iCloud to hold. I have 30,000 photos on my camera roll, and yet we're like complaining so much. We were paying $20 for 24 photos, and now we're like, I can't pay $10 for 40,000. It's just a mindset shift.
Yeah, and I know this is probably a silly question, but maybe somebody else has it on there. Okay, so
Mhm.
I do have folders on my computer of photos from stuff. How do I get something onto my iCloud? Like I was like, wait, that makes a lot of
Mhm.
sense. I wish I could just put all because I'm always looking, oh, these are in my drive. I do that. I'll put them in
They're
my
scattered.
drive. They're
Yeah.
scattered. Yes, that's what, okay. So all of my stuff is just everywhere. How do I help like create a system? Because that feels overwhelming to me too. Like, oh,
That's why it's hard.
yeah, where do we start?
That's why it's hard. So it helps to get it all into one place. I call it a hub. So you can pick the hub that makes sense for you if you are Mac based and iPhone based. I love iCloud as the hub. So you can open up Apple Photos on your Mac and import all those folders you have from all the places. And then they disappear on your phone too, because the Mac and the iPhone
I'm
are
laughing.
the
Like,
same.
how did I not ever think about this? I just literally never crossed my mind. But already I'm like, there we go.
Yes, bring all those photos in because then you pick up your phone. Like I said, I can search for photos of myself and go all the way back to my childhood, of my kids' Halloween costumes and go all the way back to their first Halloween. It's it's the work of getting it all in there though. It's a little tedious and time consuming, but it's so worth it because now I have 30,000 photos on my phone. I can find everything. It's my favorite party trick to be like, oh yeah, you want to see that picture from when we went to the Bahamas? Here you go. It's like I can pull it up when we're out at dinner or something.
Okay, how can we mentally get over the overwhelm then of I want to move all my stuff. Right, you're saying it. I'm
Mhm.
sold, right? I'm like, I can't believe I haven't done this. But my brain already is like, I've got to go
Oh, it's a lot
find
of
where
work.
everything is and I have to spend the time to do it. Let's help that mindset shift for the moms on getting started on
Yes.
that part.
Yes, let's make it smaller. Let's start today with just a post-it note, and we are going to write down like a brain dump of the places we think we have photos. So you can write down like, oh, that old computer in the closet, or that hard drive that I was using after college, right? Like Google Drive, wherever you're saving them, just write them down and put little check boxes next to them. And then you're just going to transfer them one at a time as you have little pockets of time throughout the next few months. Also, depending on where you are in your motherhood stage, this is something that some kids can help with, right? If you have teens, they are technologically savvy. They're not scared of the Apple Photos program. You can have them open it and be like, honey, your task today, I will pay you $1 per CD, is to import all of these CDs into my Apple Photos. So it depends where you're at in your journey, but maybe your kids can help you do this task. They are pretty tech savvy.
Yeah, it's really smart. I was thinking when you said CDs too. My computer does not have a CD drive.
No, they don't anymore.
I was like, wait, what do
um,
you do with like CD? I know, like I
you
think
just
I forget that. And then I'm like, wait, what do I
yeah, you just buy. They're $20 on Amazon, and they can
Okay.
plug into any computer. Yeah, yep.
See, put it on your wish list, friends. There we go. That's a good one to get. All right. I love
Yeah.
it. Okay, because yeah, I have them everywhere. And I would, there's so many times, and there's times too where I've lost photos, but I know that they exist somewhere else. Especially like, and I,
Yeah.
oh, I wish I had like these pictures. Where are they? Okay, let's talk
Yes.
about that because I think that is the biggest struggle. I know lots of the moms I'm with have. Even I think this is probably something every day I deal with. I need to find just before this, I needed to find something in my phone. I was like picking up, I'm a Girl Scout leader, so I was picking up cookies and I was like, wait, I wanted to show you this thing. And so I like start searching for keywords. I'm scrolling. I'm like, where did I save this photo? So
Mhm.
can you help us here? Like, what tips can we have for keeping things organized or making them more searchable?
Yes. Well, it's the same thing. It needs to all come into the one place to make it the most searchable. So if it's something someone texted you in the moment, save it. So that's in your camera roll. If it's something that you saw on a Google Drive that someone sent you, save it so that it's in your camera roll. If it's on those old CDs, put it into the camera roll so that you have it all in one place because the search is phenomenal and getting better. So you can search by cookies, you can search by Girl Scout, you can search by the troop number and it will find it on their vests, right? Like there's so many ways. You can search by the kid's name, you can search by February because that's when they were selling. You know, you can search in so many ways to find what you need, but if it's not in the hub, it's not searchable. So it all goes back to let's get every photo accounted for in this one place. And then the search works amazing. You can take search to the next level too. I don't know if you've done this before, but you're saying you search by a keyword or by a person or something. You can combine them. So then you can say, I want this kid's face comma, favorite, because I favorited it. I remember favoriting it back in the day, comma, 2023, because that was when we were doing this, the cookie sales, comma, Girl Scout or cookie or something. I don't know. You could try if you had different keywords, what would come up. But
Know
string
that.
them together
Yeah.
and then you can really pinpoint and get at what you were looking for.
Oh, I like that. So I don't have my phone on me because I'm looking for some thinking. So I know when you go in, I know how to search, and then underneath I always see like there's faces, but I never click it. Like I never think to search by
Mhm.
face. Like how good is that search?
I think it's great. The default, like, right, it just automatically identifies the people, you name them, and then it can get better if you make corrections or maybe you go into the faces and you start merging. So maybe your face identified your son as a baby, and then your son as like a toddler, and then your son as like a high schooler. You just name them all the same name and it will merge it into one. So that makes it smarter. So it's like, oh, actually, we understand this was this kid's whole life. And
I
then the search gets
never
better.
I never even thought about naming it. You can just click on it and it'll let you name it whatever you want to name.
Yeah, and you go to the people section of, and this is true at, I mean, I'm speaking as an iPhone user, I'm talking
Sure.
about the Apple Photos app, but this is true at Google Photos too, or in another service. So this applies to everyone. But it's under, there's a section called people and pets. And
Yeah,
then in there, It has like all of your faces identified. You
Ugh.
just go in and you name them.
I never thought about naming them because I've seen the faces like when I scroll down and I'm like, oh, that'd be helpful. But like I never think to just put the name of who it is so that the
Takes
computer
5 minutes.
yeah, can get smarter on the phone and figure it out as you go. The more
Yeah.
you
Do that today. It takes 5 minutes. Name the most important people to you. You can come back and name some of the like sub level people later.
Oh, I like that. Okay. So we were talking a little bit about like keeping things searchable and things like that. Now I know like I sort of use folders, right? Like I have a favorite. Sometimes if I remember, I'll put like all my Girl Scout stuff in one thing. Like
Mhm.
not the greatest at it. What are some best practices for like utilizing folders to keep things organized?
Yes. Yes. So they're called albums in the photo service.
Yeah, you don't
And
hear me. I'm talking like I'm on Google Drive. Yeah. I'll
no, there are folders too. So it's easy to remember it this way. Albums hold pictures and videos. Folders in Apple can hold albums. So the Apple service has like two different types of things, and it's like a hierarchy, right? So I have over 300 albums. I've been doing this for a long time, right? And so it helps me to categorize them into folders. So I have a travel folder, a family folder, a best of folder, a work folder, right? So like after you've built a lot of albums, then you can get to the folder level where you start categorizing them. But it's important at a base level to understand how an album works. There's a really common misconception that when you put a photo into an album, it's creating a duplicate copy. So it now exists in the album and exists in my library, and I have duplicates everywhere and I'm making a mess. That is not how they work. When you add it to an album, the album references to that original, just one copy of the photo into the library. And so you can make as many albums as you want. You can make albums that only live temporarily because you're making some prints over at Walgreens tomorrow. You can make albums that live forever, like my best of my kid album, because I'm going to use that when they graduate from high school, right? So I can use albums to whatever extent works for me. And I'm not changing the number of photos in my library at all. I can also add the same photo to multiple albums. Like, oh, this was our trip to Iceland. This was also in my favorites from 2023. This was also in one of my favorites of my pictures of me and my husband. And it's
Mhm.
organizationally helping me out and not messing up my library at all.
And it still exists in the main camera roll this whole time.
Your camera roll, also, you could use the term library there, is always going to be 100% of your photos. So that's the other thing that's hard for people to understand is when you put it in an album, you're not filing it away like we used to do on the computer. We would drag things into folders to clean them up. That's not how albums work. Albums, it's got to be in that library for it to reference back to. The library's always going to be 100% of our items. And albums can just be the special things that we earmark that we want to get to quickly and find for special projects.
Oh, that's helpful. Oh, what are some of your favorite albums that you have? Just like for
Because I
your,
have so many of them.
yeah, I'm like
Yes.
curious if there's some fun ones that like maybe
Yes.
to have.
Yes. So my favorite ones are my best of albums. I have a best of for each kid. I had a best of for the dog. Um, he was with us for almost 16 years and we just had to say goodbye to him last month. And so I still have that album and it's like even more precious now, right? I have a best of me and my husband. I have a best of just my headshots. I use those for work a lot. So I have a folder called best of, and then I have all these best of albums. And I use them so much because those are the best of the best photos of my family. I have 30,000 pictures in my camera roll, but in those best of albums, there's just my favorites. So when I got a digital frame for Mother's Day last year. I set it up in like 5 minutes because I was like, oh, we'll just load all the best ofs. There we go. It took like 2 minutes and all the best ofs were there.
I waste so much time on my kids' birthdays. Like my daughter just had a birthday and I was like, oh. And I didn't use any smart searching features you're telling me about. So let me tell you how I scrolled through so many. It took me like 25, 30 minutes to like think of which pictures I wanted to use for my like Facebook post. Um,
Yes.
so this is, I'm like super excited because I got, I was telling Casey before we got on that like last year I spent the year doing my day photo system and it worked really good. So now I'm ready to like take it to another level. And so as you're talking about
Albums.
albums, yeah, I'm like, this is where I need to,
Albums are your next level.
yeah.
Yeah. And it's even easier. We can combine the things we've learned already. So if you say, okay, I'm going to set a timer for 15 minutes and I'm going to make my best of my daughter album today, you can search her name in the search and just review all those results. So you know during that timer for 15 minutes, you know the pictures that are your favorite. You just tap on each of the pictures that are your favorite, and then you click add to album. And that's something you can continue to add to over time. It doesn't have to be perfect. Get to the end of that 15-minute timer, call it good. You got an album with a couple hundred of your favorites of her, and that's a great start.
Yeah, the selecting. Because I was thinking, oh, I could do it while I do my photo a day, which I could. But I was
Okay,
thinking how much easier it would be to batch out like
just
that. You
build it.
can see it. Like you're like looking at all of them together and you can make the decision. Because I feel like every morning when I see these
Mhm.
baby pictures, they all feel like my favorites, right? But when I'm like looking at
Yeah.
the grid, I'm like, all right, well, which one of these are like really them? And remembering that there's that select button to bulk things is helpful.
Yes. Yeah. And now I know before we started recording, we talked about maybe your new habit this year, because last year you did a daily delete where you were focused on cleaning up the junk. This year, maybe it's focused on hitting the heart on your favorites and those results. Because if hitting the heart feels small and like, right, I can do that, and it builds to create this beautiful collection of favorites, which you can then use in the search. So if you wanted to make a best of album for your daughter, you type in her name, comma, favorites, select all, and there's your best of because you've already given them hearts. So it all kind of builds on itself, right?
Well, I like it too because I think a lot of times we feel like we have to do the system perfectly. And even as I was saying it, my brain started to fight with me a little of like, oh, well, now I have to think if I do it in my daily delete, which I want to talk about in a second, if I do it in that system, then I'm going to have to think, what album do I want this in? And where should it go? And should I make a new And already my brain is like, that's too many decisions. And I do mine in the morning. So it's like 6 a.m. Well, I'm like, it's my first thing I do in the morning. So I'm like, I don't want to be doing that. So my brain already,
Yeah,
I love that you just reminded me that we
just
talked
heart.
about that. So I think that's going to be what I stack onto it this year is like the hearts. And then if at the end of the year, I want to make my best of, maybe that's the goal. It's so much easier for me to pull up my favorited photos than, to
Yes.
pull, like to, like siphon through a little bit better. So I love that. Thank you. You just, because my brain, like in real time, I was like, I could feel the cogs going. I'm like,
Like,
oh,
no,
too many
that's too
decisions.
much.
I don't think I
Yes,
can do
just
it.
make it
So
heart.
yeah, okay, that's what I'm gonna do. Thank you for helping me with that goal. Can we
Yeah.
talk about the daily delete? Because I was
Yes.
explaining it to you and you're like, yep, this is what I call it, which I love. And it really is the system that for the first time ever, I stuck with for 365 days to clean out my photos. So
Yes,
yeah,
because
tell
it's
me about
fun.
it. It was
It's
fun.
fun.
I love it.
Yes. So the daily delete is when you type in today's date in the search, but without a year. So type in January 1st into the search on January 1st, and you just review those results and you clean them up. And so that, if you do it every day, stack that habit. After 1 year, your library will be completely cleaned up and transformed in a fraction of the size of what it was from when you started that habit. Now, if you start the daily delete after you get everything into the camera roll, like I said, I love starting with building your hub by bringing those CDs and all that old stuff in. That makes the daily delete even more valuable. You're cleaning up literally everything in your whole collection every day. So that's daily delete. You can make it as small as just reviewing today's items, or you can make it as big as reviewing all the January 1st items. But if you keep doing that every day, as you saw,
Yeah.
it's really fun because these memories you've like everyday little tiny memories of, oh my gosh, do you remember that? Pop up and you text them to people or you show them to your kids. Like it really is fun work, even though it sounds your brain's trying to tell you it's not going to be fun. It is fun.
It was honestly it was one of those goals that I had to track. So I teach a tiering system in goals, right? And so when we have the goals, we have to put like all the supports on, right? Those are our tier ones. It was a tier one for me for the first quarter of last year. I needed to set a timer. I needed the reminders. Like I needed to create the habit. And then after that, it literally, I just do. It is actually a habit now. And I will tell you, it does take me 5 minutes or less most days.
Yeah.
And I think because I think people are like, there's so much. The other reason, just to encourage you all watching to go do this, is it made it easy to remember. A lot of times you'll be like, it's, day 3 of week 5 or whatever, and you have to, which was that? Is today Wednesday? Just the date, just the most
Just
simple.
today.
What is
Yep.
today? Also, it really was a process that allowed me to take out all the extra decisions and just make it so simple. And again, and it was fun. So like my system is I do my Facebook memories first, and then I switch to my page, and then I do my page memories, and then I do that my phone just to go through, and then I'll like find stuff on my Facebook. I'm like, oh, I wish I had that, like just to have that experience.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, both all three of those memories take less than 10 minutes, and I do it in the morning while I'm like waking up and having some water and getting on with
Mhm.
my day. And it's so fun because you just find stuff
Yes.
that you're like, I forgot about this. And especially for the work at home moms, the online business owners, like I find so much content that I'm like, oh,
Content. Yes.
so easy. It's
Well,
all right.
and little tiny milestones like, oh my gosh, it was 8 years ago today that I got my LLC registration in the mail, right? Like that's fun to post on my account too. Like there's just such little tiny anniversaries that come up and you're like, oh my gosh, this was the day you started preschool, you know. It's so it's so fun. The day you lost your first tooth. It's just stuff comes up. It's so rewarding. So that's the daily delete is focusing on the junk. And it is a muscle. I'm sure the first time that you searched, you were like, oh, this is so many decisions and it's so hard to pick. Do I like this smile or this smile? And what should I do? It's a muscle that gets stronger and easier with time when you're like, oh, actually, now I can look at these real quick and
Yeah.
say, this is junk and this is my favorite.
And more ruthless. I felt like I was
Yes.
definitely more ruthless, especially like we went to Disney World, right? And so once November came in for the memories from the past few couple years, I knew what was coming. And I was like, all right, I got to get ready for this. But being able
Yeah.
to multiple select, I was like, there's six of the same pose. I don't even care. By the end,
Yeah.
I felt that way. So I guess one of my last questions before we wrap up, then like, how can we help ourselves decide like what to like
Hmm.
go of versus what to keep,
Hmm.
because I feel like sometimes it's like everything feels like we need to keep it. Sometimes we're like super ruthless and we should get rid of everything. What's suggestions
Yeah.
do you have?
Two tips. So, one, the passage of time does often help with this. I'm sure you found like you're searching January 1st and it's from 2014 and you're like, oh, I don't need these screenshots anymore. I haven't made this recipe. I'm not going to make it, right? The passage of time where you're like, oh, yeah, that was cute, but I don't need 6 photos of that anymore. He doesn't do that anymore, right? Or we're not friends with that person anymore. We maybe just need one. We don't need 8. So the passage of time does help. So that's nice in the daily delete. The second tip is you don't have to delete them all. I kind of mentally see my camera roll as 3 different things. There's favorites. These are the best. I might put these on my digital frame. I might put these in a photo book at the end of the year. I might turn this into a mug for grandma. Favorites are something that are like, oh, these are great. I want these as a screensaver. I want these on my digital frame. That's something I might heart. Then there's a whole big category, the biggest category that's keepers, but they're not probably worth printing, right? So this is like all the other 6 pictures at Disneyland that maybe aren't going to go in the digital frame or they might not go in the book, but they're good photos and I don't want to delete them. And then the third category is the trash. Okay, those are the screenshots of the recipes you're never going to make or the blurry photos when your toddler got your phone and took a whole bunch of pictures of their foot, right? Like there's 3 levels to me. And so that helped me release a lot of the pressure of like, well, actually, I'm this can fall in this middle keep category. That doesn't need to be a favorite. It does also doesn't have to be deleted. I've got space here in the cloud to keep that level too.
Yeah, I like that. You just remind me, I totally forgot. We bought my mom one of those digital frames like years ago as a gift, and I never sent
Yeah.
pictures to it because I completely forgot that we bought it until you just said that. And so now I think I have to reactivate the account because I think it was one of the ones you have to pay for. But I just also thought, I'm not a printer, right? Like I don't print pictures,
Hmm.
nothing. I would love a digital frame though. So I'm gonna write that down on like I keep a list of like rewards, that I am
Hmm.
working towards and stuff. And I encourage people to do that because you always forget like when someone's like, "What do you want?" or they want like you can never think of it off the top of your head. So I just put everything on an Amazon wish list right away to remind me. I think I'm gonna put a digital frame on there because I'm
It's the
thinking
perfect Mother's Day
it's
gift.
so I want it. Like I love
Yeah.
this the photo daily delete that I do. So I would love a frame. So I'm just gonna say this loud enough that maybe somewhere something in my will remind my husband. But I'm gonna
At
put
the very least, you're gonna start getting ads for frames
yes,
now
that's
in
what I
your, in
mean.
your
So
feed.
but I'm gonna put on my wish list because I do think I don't
Yeah.
love photos everywhere. I don't love like I don't care that much to be honest. Like to like
Yeah.
print them. Like I don't but I would
Boxes of
love
them and
yeah,
yeah.
I would love that. You gave me
It is the perfect thing. I didn't think I wanted one or needed one because I could see them on my phone and they're organized. And I make books every year. So I was like, I don't need that. And then my husband surprised me with one for Mother's Day. Get this. he got an Aura frame if you're looking for a brand. He preloaded it with like a few pictures of me and the kids. So he didn't even have to plug it in. When you bought it, there was like a code so he could preload it. So I turned it on and it already had some cute pictures on it. Like great gift. Then I installed the Aura app on my phone, linked to those 6 best of albums I have, and now I have hundreds of pictures. It was set up in seconds. And then my husband, it was my gift, right? But the kids are like on the table looking
I
at it,
bet.
right next to it all the time. They're always commenting on the pictures on it. Look at me. That was when I was little. Look at when I had a pacifier. Anyway, they're always there. But then my husband has installed the Aura app on his phone, and it's like a widget that like shows the same pictures as it was on the
Oh, I
frame.
love
And
that.
he's constantly going, look at this baby
Yeah.
picture. And so it has truly been a gift for everyone in the family. And it was quite easy. So don't let this feel like a big hurdle. Getting a digital frame is a nice, easy win.
I'm gonna put it down on my list. And then I'm gonna use it. I'm gonna put it for my Mother's Day. I think I'm thinking of the time of the year it is now because that gives me time to like, okay, we're gonna start hearting things. And then that way to make it
Uh-huh.
easier for myself, I think it'll be like a really
And
nice.
it's automatically updating. So at least with Aura, that's
Oh,
the only
that's
one I have
good.
experience with. So
Yeah.
like if I add more things to my best of albums, they're just automatically like that album is set to link with the frame and it just
Yeah.
goes. So I never have to manage the frame. I set it up and then it's just the best.
Oh,
I was such a skeptic. I don't need that. And I love it so much. I was 100% wrong. So that doesn't
I'm
happen often.
going on my list. I love it. All right, Kate,
Yeah.
this is great. There are so many more questions I'm sure we could ask, and we want to connect everybody to you. So for the moms watching, where can they find you?
Sure. My website is missfreddie.com and I'm most active on Instagram. I'm miss.freddie. So I share lots of free tips and fun photo related content there.
Awesome. Underneath this session is going to be links to all the things we talked about today. You can connect right with Casey there. It also has her freebie, which is perfect for our conversation, the Understanding iCloud ebook, which I'm going to read now that I understand what an iCloud is. So I'm going to make I read mine. And then can you tell us about what the VIPs get, which is the Managing Kids Memories ebook?
Yeah, so this is an ebook I wrote that just has ideas of ways you can document your kid's childhood, all the way from 0 to 18. So it shows like what I did for a baby book, what I am doing for their elementary school years, what I might do when they graduate. And so it is just ideas to read through. It's not a checklist you have to do, but I might spark some inspiration for you as you're trying to document your kid's childhood.
Awesome. Thank you so much for your time today. This was a really good
Sure.
conversation. I feel like my brain is going. And listen, you can head into the Facebook group for anyone watching if you want to continue the conversation with other attendees. We'll see you at the next session and have a good day.
Thanks.